Hello, my name is Elias Munsha and welcome to TV Bakwetu. Today we've got a very exciting program. However, I need to apologize very, very sincerely that we have not managed to start our broadcast today in good time. This is already 1:47 here in Calgary, and in Chuempala it's about 21:47, which is pretty late. But we've got very exciting lineup of the people that we are bringing on, and so we thought it's better late than never. And so I have with me here Mr. Norman Chipakupaku. Mr. Chipakupaku, I understand that our listeners, our faithful base, was on your page asking why we were so late to start.
Good evening, Chipo. Good evening, Zambia, and good evening to our viewers. First of all, my sincere apologies. I think Munsha has already apologized. I've been bombarded by questions. What's happening? And I just said Munsha is running late and we have a technical problem. But here we are. We are going to have a good time tonight. And I think I would like to welcome a number of people from Zambia who are coming on live today, who are joining us live today for the first time. And we're getting three doctors. We will start with Dr. Sampa and Dr. Chikonde, who was arrested but released yesterday. So the problem is the government is trying to fire them. So the government is trying to intimidate them using the police. So we want to hear it from the horse's mouth. There was a statement from the Inspector General that if they continue, they'll end up being arrested. There was another statement from the Labor Commissioner that they are violating the law. So we want to hear from them tonight what the story is. And so these are the issues we want to hear tonight. There's so many other things happening. Right. We might have no time to discuss the other things happening, but we go straight to the doctors, I think.
Okay, we'll do that. We're just waiting for them to come on in. But here is one of the things. The thing is, the way the government is behaving leaves a lot of question. Really, it leaves much to be desired. You wonder what is going on. In Luapula, when something like this is happening, you'd think that Ichisomo. You know what Ichisomo is, General?
No. Can you try to explain that to me?
Ichisomo. What is Ichisomo? How can I explain it? Ichisomo is like a misfortune that somebody, it's like a kavundula. It's a misfortune that somebody just assigns to you, and you have no way of escaping. No matter how much you try to be good, but it is just there. It's a curse, almost like a curse. Very similar to a curse.
I think so.
That is exactly how the Patriotic Front government and President Lungu and everyone else is behaving. Unbelievable.
I think it's true because there are things happening everywhere. Yesterday, our viewers, we had PF cadres. In fact, I can name them. One of them is called Chile Mbula, and another one called Kayombo, something like that, attacking two women in public and threatened to rape them in Kitwe.
Right.
And this is unbelievable. Things are happening. Strange things are happening. Now we hear they've assigned some journalists, one of them from India, Bungwe Navile, going around the chiefs with propaganda. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Last night I was listening to Nakachinda in Chipata saying HH is a tribalist. That's why he can't support him, because he is a tribalist. He's going to bring in imperialists to come and take over Zambia. What's going on, Munsha? I really don't know what's going on.
Right. It's completely confusing. Okay. We are still looking for the doctors here. We'll have them as soon as they come on. But we would like to hear it from the horse's mouth. Now, General, the doctors are non-partisan. I know that you are a partisan hack, right? You are UPND. I'm not. But you as UPND, we need to give the doctors at least the leeway so that they explain things from a non-partisan perspective. So I'll keep you in check to ensure that you do not politicize what they have to say tonight.
These doctors, Musha, I totally agree with you. For the viewers, I'm UPND and I don't apologize for that. And these doctors are professionals. We are discussing an issue here which is non-political. But It looks like it's the government itself which is trying to politicize this issue. They're already saying, for instance, that the doctors who were demonstrating in Kitwe and everywhere were not doctors, were UPND supporters in uniform, in white coats. So that's how they're politicizing the whole thing. The whole thing is just crazy. Can you imagine our supporters, us in UPND, organizing some people to dress them in white coats and giving them stethoscopes and pretending to be doctors? That's what they're saying.
Maybe because doctors have a fundamental right to belong to any political party. Maybe they could be UPND supporters, but the only issue is that the police are mistaking that to be UPND somehow to be an enemy of the state. No. The Constitution of Zambia guarantees every citizen the right to belong to any political party. I don't think the people who are protesting are partisan hacks or partisan cadres. I think they are doctors who are concerned at the way things are going, and so we need to give them that leeway and recognize that these are patriotic citizens of our country who just need to be paid the money that the government owes them. Is it too much to ask? And now, about this threat of firing them, it's pretty sad. Of course, yesterday, our resident pharmacist was very clear that if we're imogenerat mulichikwakwa, and Antonio Mwanza, we shouldn't involve ourselves in the matters that have to do with people who did natural sciences. In any case, as people who did natural sciences, they are on demand all over the world.
Well, we are. Sorry, go ahead.
So it doesn't mean that once these natural scientists are fired by the government, they are going to suffer. In fact, every day that our doctors are treating Zambians, they're providing a service to our country.
Exactly. Not only that, Musha, these doctors are being paid peanuts. As I said yesterday, these junior doctors are being paid something like $600 or less than $700 per month. They can easily walk into Botswana and get a job and be paid more. They can walk into South Africa and get more. They can find their way into the UK and find their way into Canada and get more money. But these people are being mistreated when they can easily go and work anywhere. Not only that, the government has spent lots of money. It's very expensive to train a doctor for 7 years. It's a very, very expensive venture. So they have to respect these doctors. So I hope they are ready to go now. Can you check, please?
Okay. So there is DAV. Who is DAV?
I would suggest that you rename your machine. We have we've got Dr. Sampa himself, and we've got Dr. Mukula and another doctor. 3 of them coming on. Please, if you are listening to me, can you rename, because we've agreed that you can identify yourselves. Can you rename your machines, please? Your Zoom. Are you able to hear me?
This is StreamYard. We are using StreamYard.
We are using StreamYard, by the way. I'm sure they can rename themselves.
Right. All right. So these are the concerns that the people have. Now, doctors are like, connected. They are connected, and so mistreating them is basically so bad. How would you mistreat a doctor? For goodness sake, how on earth would you mistreat doctors, nurses, teachers? It means then that it's a government that is not ready to govern. I think this government has given up. Balungu I'm done. They're done. they are not going to do it. He's done. He's basically throwing in the towel.
I think it looks like he's done. There is one sort of man of God in Zambia. I don't know which church he belongs to, who has issued a passionate appeal to Mr. Lungu. The question is, Mr. Lungu, Mr. President, where are you? Because the country needs direction.
Right.
And it's sad that it looks like yes, we know he's a lame duck president, because he's just there now to waiting for the results on the 12th. But he's still president. We still have a vice president. But they're not even worried about running the country anymore. They're only worried about campaigning now. And I think they're only worried about sending their cadres to attack people, like what they did in Quito yesterday. That's what they're interested in. They're interested in sending their people to go and give brown envelopes to chiefs. That's what they're interested in.
Right. So if there is money for brown envelopes to chiefs, there is money to pay our doctors. Pay them. We are done with promises, fake promises. We'll release the money. They've been releasing money for years. No. What we want to see is actual money. Doctors. Ama doctors babi kempia mutumba. Nama bank accounts. Not this kind of mistreatment. We are not going to agree with it. Okay?
Definitely not. They are able to pay. We have Robert Nyirenda. Doctor, good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much. How are you, Norman Chpak?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, that's not one of our doctors. Am I right?
Yes, how are you?
I'm very well. Now, Mr. Chpak is asking whether you are one of the doctors.
No, it's not.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, can you just give us a minute, sir? Let's get our doctors in first. Is that okay?
No problem. No problem. I'll be following you. No problem.
You can be our doctor. There is no problem. Why not? Except we shouldn't tell Jerome Kanika. Because if we tell Jerome Kanika, you come and ask us whether to Adif Kwakwa or we went to schools of natural sciences. We shouldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Musha. I don't know why the doctors are not coming in. And are you able to see that they're coming in now?
No, we don't have them.
I might have to go for a minute and just see what's happening.
Right. Okay. No problem. You can do that. Okay. So these are some of the things that are happening, and we are going to get Dr. Sampa and Dr. Mukula Chikonde shortly. However, we need to be very clear about what is happening. It's not normal. You cannot begin a fight with the doctors when the country is, first of all, facing this coronavirus and the numbers keep going up. We need to consolidate against that we've had as a country against coronavirus. And so picking up fights against doctors is unjustified. We cannot agree to this idea that there is no money. This government has money. President Lungu's government has money. Okay? They have money to give chiefs. They have money to give musicians. They have money to give cadres. They have money to do all sorts of things. Surely they can find money to pay the doctors. The other thing is, apart from just paying the doctors, there is the next thing of hiring 500 more healthcare workers, 500 more doctors. It has been a song that this government has been singing that they are going to get hire and retain more healthcare workers. It's just been announcements all the time. That's not what we are looking for. I think we need action. And for the doctors to come to this situation where they, in fact, must announce a go slow, it means they have tried. You know how doctors work very, very hard for our country. You know, they are not like us. You know, we are in different countries. They did natural sciences, Ifyakosa, at university. And then they went 7 years to do medicine. And then they were junior doctors. They've been working very effectively all over the country. You know? They're asking just for a little bit. Basu nineni kwa kanono. Na wo wonfwe kwa manone. Today, President Lungu, now vachita fly Ichiteke, Ichamanone, from Lusaka up to Luapula province, burning fuel and carrying with him hundreds and hundreds of people on those planes. Very, very expensive. Where has the money come from? Nomba imwe mpia shandeke murakawata. Ale mpia shaba nenu ba doctor wa kwebat isho babombele. Akanon. Ako babombele ati yo mkwa you should continue sacrificing. If we are talking about sacrificing, let every person sacrifice, including the president himself. Tumone. Not kateko wakobat vyonse konsefye, Ama none, everything. Nishi doctors are saying that if you are sacrificing, let everybody sacrifice across the board. Not ama MPs. Ama MPs are paid. Gratuity. But if we shall fear at termination of Shan catching an adjournment of parliament, it stuff here close the parliamentary Shan. MP has already entered their bank accounts. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of money. It's already entered their bank account. Why shouldn't the case be as far as doctors are concerned? These are some of the questions that we have, So pay the doctors, resolve this problem. Ayama threats are not going to help. We've been through this before. The main exodus of Zambian doctors happened during the time of Nkanduluo as Minister of Health. When she stood up to tell the doctors that you were fired, and what happened to the doctors? They are wanted all over Southern Africa. They are wanted in West Africa, East Africa. They are wanted. What will happen? Who is going to suffer? Which doctors are going to be treating us? Dr. Chishimba Kambwiri. Dr. Chishimba. Doctors best. This is unacceptable. General, are you still available?
Yes, I think the doctors should be joining us in any time now. Please, can you just make sure that we stand by? We have Dr. Sampa and Dr. Chikonde, and we will have another third doctor joining us. So please just stand by. Let the ladies and gentlemen, we should have these doctors. My worry is that probably the Zambian government is blocking their phones. You never know. But we hope that we will be able to get them coming through. And for our viewers who are watching us for the first time, if you've got any questions, any comments, please just post them on the Facebook page, Munsha's page or my page. You'll be able to pick the questions up. We have this problem with the doctors, and we also have elections. We also have COVID. Our biggest worry is that this is not the right time to fire doctors. This is not the right time to fire doctors because we've got COVID.
General, I need to correct you. There is never a good time to fire doctors. There is never a good time to fire doctors.
You're right. You're right. There's not. Doctors we spend a lot of money to train them. 7 years to train them. Right. And again, let's go back to what happened one time. The late President Sata, when he was Minister of Health, he fired a lot of doctors. A lot of nurses were fired. They left for South Africa. Zambia lost out. Most of these doctors are now in the UK, nurses in the UK. They're in Canada. They're in America. Some of the best brains we had. Professor Luo did the same problem. And we also lost out in the second phase of doctors and nurses. This is now going to be the third sort of wave of us losing to Botswana, losing to South Africa, losing to Namibia, and some of them might even be going to Kenya. So I think
General, I think if I'm a doctor's Vademeka, I think they've got an education that is backing them. With a good pay. And they're not even asking for they're not even asking for, are they asking for helicopters, General? Dimbi,
no. No. These doctors are just asking for a decent wage to survive because they're working hard. They're working extra hard. No, they are not like Joe helicopter, Melange helicopter. No, they're not interested in that.
Helicopter.
These are doctor professionals who need to be paid well so that they can pay their rent, they can plan their marriages, because most of them are very young. They can also, you give them incentives so that they can work hard. So they're basically asking for a basic living standard. That's all they're looking for.
Right. And I think we agree with their demands. They are very reasonable demands and everything else. Dr. Sampa.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to our program. Now, I just need to warn you that my co-presenter is Mr. Norman Chipakupaku. We also call him General.
Oh, okay.
He is your
nice.
So we want to make this show as non-partisan as possible.
Okay, that's better.
General, over to you.
Dr. Sampa, good evening and welcome. I'm sorry that we've had these technical problems, and you are not comfortable to have your picture. If you are not comfortable, that's fine. But if you are comfortable, we can have your video. But I know it's a problem in Zambia because of bandwidth. But all the same, we want to hear from you. What is going on? What is the problem? Why are we having all these threats? And what is really, really strange is that we hear this problem has been going on for a long time. So why are you on Ghost Law, Dr. Sam?
Well, we are on Ghost Law because for the past more than 6 years, there are some demands concerning the doctors which haven't been met. And these demands include the payment of the salary arrears, settling in allowances, and gratuities, which have been owed to the doctors for some time, and they keep on accumulating. Then the other thing is that the doctors' progression in terms of their career and positions has been stalled for a long time. You find that when a doctor finishes their internship, they're supposed to be senior resident medical officers. Then they progress to registrar, and if they finish their master's, senior registrar, after which they can become consultant. All those are different notches in terms of salary. However, what's been happening is that despite people progressing in their careers, they are still being maintained on positions of junior doctors. We have a lot of doctors who are now even acting as directors. Others have been directors for years, but they are still getting paid as junior doctors. So we are asking for creation of positions for the doctors so that they can be in substantive positions instead of dealing with those positions which are just administrative. Then we are also asking for, yes.
Go ahead, doctor, go ahead.
The other thing we are asking for is the employment of doctors. As you may be aware, in Zambia, the patient-doctor ratio is 1 to 12,000. And it's a very bad ratio because the recommended one by WHO is 1 to 1,000. So for us to beat that, we need to at least employ more than 3,000 doctors. Then we can have at least a ratio of 1 to 1,000. Now, currently we have got more than 500 doctors who are just roaming the streets. They haven't been employed. So we are asking also for their employment.
Now, Dr. Sampa, thank you for letting us know. Now, you need to know that the people of Zambia solidly stands by your association and your colleagues.
Okay, thank you very much to hear that.
And the people of Zambia are going to support you.
Thank you very much.
Because your demands are not unusual. You are not asking for planes. You are not asking for even big buses. Or Mercedes-Benz or Range Rovers. All you are asking for are reasonable things that a reasonable government must provide. General.
Dr. Sampa, we hear that in the last few days, first of all, that you, because of the East problem, you were transferred to a rural area. And we also hear that one of your members was arrested and charged with espionage. And this is Dr. Chikonde. Is this Dr. Chikonde online already? So what happened? Can you tell us, Dr. Sampa?
Yes. So as I speak to you, at least Dr. Chikonde has been released as of today. So the thing is that the first time that we were pushing for the arrears, that's when I was transferred to Chitokoloki. It's a rural part of Zambia. And then, I was already on leave that time, but still a lot of things happened in the background. There were some changes which were made to the leave days, So now they are instituting some disciplinary actions towards me just because of what we are doing. But we are not shaken because we expect this. And the other thing is there are a lot of threats coming. I can't even go back to my place because there are people passing through every time. There are all these calls coming from police, and my members are being charged, being followed by police, which is very bad. But still, despite all this, the membership has resolved that nothing will intimidate them. They are going to continue fighting until everything is met. Because we need to stress the fact that as we fight, we are not fighting for the doctors, we are fighting for the patient. When you have a ratio of 1 to 12,000, we are essentially saying that one doctor is meant to handle 12,000 patients. And these are humans. We've got districts where the whole district has got one doctor, and other districts you find the general hospital has got only one doctor, which is a problem. If we can have more doctors employed, then there will be quality patient care, unlike what is there now where doctors are overworking, and when they get tired, of course, they can't bring about quality health.
Dr. Sampa, the government, through the PS, are saying you are just exaggerating issues. Your money was paid. That's what the PS was saying. And the other story is that the people who were demonstrating yesterday or went slow in Kitwe and Dola and so forth were not doctors. That they were opposition members who were dressed in white jackets. Is it true?
Well, I think to start with, it's so wrong to say that the doctors were paid. And that's why we have a challenge, because when you are dealing with problems of the employees, you need to be very honest. People are trying to put up a face, talk to the public, tell the public things which are not facts. For instance, when they say doctors have been paid, they are talking about the 309 doctors. Now, if you ask them to say, okay, what happened to these 309 doctors and why were they owed? I'll give you the full story about the 309. These doctors, I'm part of the group. We were employed in 2019 in March. We had to work from March. We had letters from Ministry of Health. We worked from March without getting paid until September. Now, in September, instead of being paid the arrears with the first salary, we were given only for 1 month, and we were also given new letters of employment indicating 1st September as our day of employment, meaning that the government intended to forgo those 5 months which we had worked. So we took it upon ourselves and fought for that. I was one of the people who fought for that with my colleague, and immediately we walked to State House. That's the time I was transferred actually to Chitokoloki. So the issue of the 309 has been dealt with because of the pressure we had mounted, and they knew they needed to correct that. It was embarrassing that they wanted to erase the 5 months. So that has got nothing to do with what people are on go slow for this time, because this has to do with the more than 1,500 doctors who are owed different personal emoluments and gratuities. So they need to differentiate, but they go to the public talking about the 309 as if they did that out of the budget and that they are already dismantling arrears, which is not true. So we've been telling them time and again, even in meetings, to stop using that story to cover the face. And that's what is bringing a challenge when it comes to dialogue, because when you are dialoguing, you need to dialogue with someone who is saying the truth, not when people are lying. Because even as we speak, there's an interview going on where they're talking about the payments to the 3,000 nurses and 309 doctors. But when you talk of the nurses, out of that fight we put up, because those 3,000 nurses, we were employed at the same time. So that fight we put up, they decided to also pay them, and those payments are still going on. So those are not things they are supposed to be talking about. We are talking about money which has been owed from 2015, and even others up to 2013, 2014, they are still owed.
Doctor, how about this accusation that the opposition sent people to demonstrate in white coats and stethoscopes? Is it true?
You know, everyone who is participating in that is a bona fide member of RDZ, and those are doctors. If they intend to have people go there with their degrees and licenses, people can do that. But to assure you, there is no one who has taken part in this who is not a doctor. Those are just ways of trying to undermine the things that are being done by these doctors who are so hardworking and law-abiding. You know, these doctors sacrifice their entire lives to save other people's lives. Others have ended up dying during the line of duty, and others have died with COVID. We have others who are facing serious, side effects of the same COVID and all that. But still, they are gallant soldiers. They fight on. They have just said it's too much. They want to be heard, and this is the best time they feel they can be heard. So for someone to come and say there were some political parties who sponsored some people, I think that's not fair, and the membership would not take that lightly, because it would mean that they are not being appreciated.
Wow. Now, I'm sorry that Dr. Chikonde is not able to join us. He was charged with espionage. Dr. Sampa, do you know what espionage is?
Yeah, we tried to Google it, and from the advice we got from the lawyers, it was actually something which is non-bailable, and it is the highest. It's one of those capital charges, and afterwards it was explained. And we are happy that with the pressure which was mounted, all that was dropped, and he's free home.
Oh, we are sorry for that. Espionage, I'm a former soldier. Espionage is a serious charge, which simply means you are spied for a foreign state, or you're spied against your country. And it will be very, very crazy for a doctor to be charged for espionage, especially the hard-working doctor like Dr. Mukula Chikonde himself. That charge, has it been dropped completely, or is this still
yes,
on?
It has. No, it has been dropped completely, and he's a free person now.
There is also another issue that they've withdrawn your license, Dr. Sampa, which means you can't practice. How true is it?
Oh, that for me, what I can say is that I haven't been saved anything yet. I haven't been given any letter from HPCZ. Besides, to withdraw a license, the law is very clear. There is a procedure. It's a process. Somebody has to be written to, and the law prescribes that it has to be not less than 30 days notification. Now, what was done that day, just after the announcement of the ghost law, where somebody just goes on TV and says, I've suspended, that is uncalled for. And I'm still a doctor. I'm still practicing, because I haven't received any letter. And I've gotten advice from our lawyer, who has advised very well that, that doesn't hold any water. Nothing really is there. All that is just being used to intimidate and to exclude me from taking part in activities. Besides, even if I was to have my license withdrawn, it wouldn't mean that I'm no longer a president of the resident doctors. My qualification is just having my MBCHB. So for people, for Health Professions Council to even go as far as now policing or captaining what should be done. So now you shouldn't take part in any activity. That is so wrong and so misleading. And I'm happy that most of the Zambians have seen past that, and our members know very well. They read the law and they have seen that that is just rhetoric.
Well, we also hear, Dr. Sampa, because we've been following this story very, very closely, that you held a Zoom meeting with your members, your executive, and you were threatened for using Zoom. Is it true?
That is very true, and it was a very strong word coming from the Inspector General that whoever will be attending those meetings will be arrested. I was targeted directly that no, Dr. Sampa will be arrested because he's suspended. You know, the way things are being done really is so wrong, because there's no way they can even be saying he's suspended. Nobody, HPCZ doesn't have any authority to suspend the RDSZ president. HPCZ has got no mandate whatsoever to talk about the affairs of the doctors, apart from regulating them and just, you know, giving us the licenses and all that. And the law is clear. And our constitution is very clear as well as RDSZ. That's why you haven't had any changes. I'm still the president, and the membership knows that. And if they are saying...
Yes, Dr. Sampa? Well, our viewers, it looks like Dr. Sampa is dropped out. Are you still there, Dr. Sampa?
Yes, I'm still here.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. You are finishing on that you are still the president. Go ahead, please.
Yes, so I'm saying I'm still the president, and HPCZ has got no mandate whatsoever to suspend president of RDSZ. What is happening is this is a dispute between employer and employee that has got nothing to do with HPCZ, and they even went too far to start issuing such statements which are so illegal that my license has been suspended when nothing has been done. I've never had any charge letter from them. I've never exculpated myself. I've never sat in any disciplinary meeting with HPCZ. So whatever happened that night at 20 hours is not something which is acceptable. That's why, as we speak, I'm still the president, and the law is very clear on that one.
Well, I think as a Zambian living abroad, and a lot of Zambians, I think we're getting concerned that the police inspector general and the police can decide to arrest doctors when they failed to arrest gassers, when they failed to arrest a lot of other people who were murdered, like a person like Lawrence Banda. I know Musha doesn't want me to be political, but I think it makes sense. Somebody was murdered in Kaoma. Nobody has been arrested, but they are quick to arrest the doctors. I find that very, very strange. Now, we also hear now that the Inspector General has issued a very strong warning that if you continue doing whatever you're doing to organize your members, you will be arrested. And we also hear that the ministry and the police are phoning individual doctors, trying to use the doctors to be checking on other doctors. For instance, the person who reported you to the police for the Zoom call is suspected to be your fellow member. Can you confirm some of these things, Dr. Sampa?
Yes, of course, we've got some doctors who are being used, of course, but those are very few. We also have some doctors who just want to always, be in good boots with the government. There are always those outliers in society. But what I want to just mention is that, yes, they are threatening that we are going to be arrested if we continue with the Zoom meetings, and that if I continue having those Zoom meetings myself, I'll be arrested, and so many other threats. They have called me before as well. The police calling me, you are wanted by the anti-fraud, you are wanted by the, the criminal investigations. I just had to to avoid those calls and blacklist them, because those people would call anytime. And you know, it's very funny because they haven't been calling all along. The moment we said there will be a go-slow, they started calling. When we called it off, they stopped. This time when again the go-slow started, they started calling. The same people who called and managed to apprehend Dr. Chikonde, they are the same people, the same numbers who were calling. And that is very bad, because now that kind of intimidation is getting way too far, that we are living in fear. We can't even go back to our places. We have to be moving from one place to another.
Wow, that is very sad. Dr. Sampa, you've just said that the doctor-patient ratio in Zambia is 1 to 12,000. That is a staggering number. The recommendation for the World Health Organization is 1 doctor to 1,000 patients. How are you able to cope, you people? How are you coping with that workload?
You know, that is the aspect which people need to appreciate. I'll just cite a few examples. Michael Chilufya-Sata General Hospital has got 1 doctor. 1 doctor, the entire General Hospital in Impika. You go to Lavushmanda, there is 1 doctor, the entire district. You go to Kanchibia, there is no doctor. What this means is Michael Chilufya-Sata.
Go ahead, Dr. Sampa.
And a few clinical officers. It hasn't been easy.
I'm sorry, viewers. It looks like we're having a problem with the line with Dr. Sampa. Dr. Sampa, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, please. You're telling us about Michael Sata Hospital with 1 doctor. Which other hospitals haven't got doctors?
Yeah, so look, we have even districts where there are no doctors, and we've got, say, 1 district. I'll give an example of 1 district like Lavushmanda. You know, a district which doesn't have other doctors apart from the district health director, who is the only doctor in that area. So those are some of the challenges we are having. And when we demand that more doctors should be employed, it's because we know we are the ones who feel it, and the membership are suffering, because in Chipata alone, the doctors are able to work for more than 10 hours per day. And this is not just mere work, where somebody has been in theater standing for all those hours. Meanwhile, the things that we are owed, the positions they are being paid for, are not what they are doing. So we really want those issues to be rectified, attended to as soon as possible, because coping hasn't been easy. It has just been because of the way our doctors love work so much, and they know it's their duty to care for the patients. So it has been more of charity than and more of duty than really getting something out of it.
Yeah, I think I just want to say what Munsha said on behalf of all the Zambians. We might be saying we are okay, some of us who live abroad, but we have relatives. We have relatives in Zambia. We have sons and daughters. We have grandchildren, some of us. We know the problems which they are facing in the hospitals. And we also know that you are not paid much, because the average salary in the region for a doctor, we know it. So we just want to say thank you on behalf of the Zambians, the millions of Zambians, for doing such a fantastic job. And before I bring in Jeremy, who is a pharmacist, I also want to say one thing, that you are facing COVID. What is the situation with the COVID in Zambia at the moment? We are being told that the numbers are going up. Can you confirm that? Secondly, we're told that hospitals don't have drugs. Can you confirm that before I bring in Jeremy, Dr. Sampa?
Well, I wouldn't want to comment much about the hospital supplies, but about the COVID, all I can say is that the numbers are increasing. and it's quite alarming, which is very true. We are headed for the third wave, which is something which the government is trying to prepare for. So on the other issues, I think I won't be able to comment much. I will limit myself to just the demands that we've put on the table for the doctors.
I really appreciate that. And now, where do we go from here? If they don't meet your demands, what will be the next step?
Well, the membership has made it clear that no matter what happens, they are standing their feet until the demands are met. If it will take however long it will take, the ball is not in the members' hands, it's in the government's hands. The government has got the shots to call. So if they respond as quickly as possible, so will be the members.
So to me, it simply means if there's this deadlock, you are prepared to be arrested for that.
The membership are ready for anything at this point. And what is disheartening is they are going round circles instead of facing the problem. They go and start assembling, unions. Meanwhile, they understand that doctors are non-unionized. Now, this is where we are saying people need to be very honest as they deal with issues, because unions don't represent doctors. So if those people can bring unions and make it seem like they are representing doctors, they are only lying to those who don't understand. But the doctors themselves know that nothing is being done, and those unions were just there to save themselves. One aspect also is, even as we are negotiating, the things which should be brought on the table should be things which are at least making sense. There is no way you can say we've released 200 million to cater for the entire civil service, where Ministry of Health alone has got debt amounting to more than 800 million kwacha, and from that 800 million, you have got more than 350 million owed to doctors. That 15 million you are giving MOH needs to be shared equally among the different cadres at Ministry of Health, which means roughly maybe 1 million or so would go to the doctors. That can only cater for 2 or 3 doctors for gratuity. What does that mean? Meaning that, people are not willing to just do something over the plight of the doctors.
So can you confirm the exactly or the rough figure of how much is you're owed for all the doctors? Hi, Dr. Sampa. Sorry, viewers. Jeremy, you've been hearing Dr. Sampa. Before I bring him in, what's your comment? Or do you have any questions for Dr. Sampa? Can you unmute yourself, Jeremy?
Okay. Thank you. What I can say to me is Dr. Sampa is now like my hero. Is a leader who really sacrificed for his friends to say that a better condition of service are given to his friend. Is a doctor who's comfortable, who's working, but is still saying to say, look, there are these 500 doctors who are not employed, and we need these people to be employed so that we can reduce the doctor-patient ratio drastically. But now is a person whom some people are trying to bring and talk about things that are not here or there. So for me, I can say is very much my hero. And I was listening, yes, to Diamond TV, I think before this broadcast started. And I can assure you, we have a big disaster at the Ministry of, who's the permanent secretary for is it PSMD? Yeah, is it Mr. Chandakazia or the one, is it Chwari who was there at Diamond TV? That permanent secretary is a disaster, I'm telling you. Too emotional and failing to control themselves in dealing with matters that of national importance. When the matters of national interest and national importance, you don't use emotions, but you use the intellect for you to think and to reason in a proper way. The matter where he called and say Diamond TV has ambushed them with Dr. Sampa and all that was suspended it is very sad that a person of such caliber, like a permanent secretary, can say that Dr. Sampa has been suspended without any letter served to Dr. Sampa about his suspension. I think that's something very much unacceptable. And it's the thing, it is the matter that the permanent secretary need also to lead some of the things that these associations, the constitution of these associations, for him to understand very well what these associations stand for and who are the members of these associations and how the executive for these associations come into play. And like him saying that, no, you, because your license is suspended, then you cannot speak on behalf of the doctors. No, that's not what the constitution of that institution talks about. And moreover, the other thing of using things that applies to union or unionized workers to apply for managerial workers, I think is something that's very much unacceptable. In this situation, doctors are non-unionized. So the things that applies to unionized workers are different from the things that applies to non-unionized workers. In this situation, the permanent secretary for PSMD was saying that they had meetings with unions. This has nothing to do with the meetings that you're supposed to have with the doctors. So in this situation, it should not be a tit for tat situation. What is needed is to have a roundtable discussion with the doctors so that they can find a very amicable way to sort out the problem, unlike making the innocent people who are the patients to suffer in this situation. You see, this is what I was trying to say even yesterday, to say, I think we need to understand which programs we do very well, but our programs, as we deal with lives, and we put we put the patient's life first as compared to our own lives. So in this situation where the permanent secretary for PSMD doesn't understand this concept that we use, for him he's thinking like it's a talk show, or it's a show where you need to show that you have authority than the other person. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. Our training is centered on patients and making see that every patient gets better. It gives enough joy for any doctor to see a patient who came bedridden, they go home walking, they go home smiling. That's the joy that every doctor enjoys, and that's what makes them to keep going, even if not being paid for 5 or 6 months. So in this situation, what is being needed to do with the permanent secretary is supposed to understand that, and I didn't understand why even they brought in the permanent secretary for information. This has nothing to do with the permanent secretary for information. Why didn't they bring on Diamond TV the permanent secretary for health so that he understands these things very well? So it's something that we need to see and do things in a better way. Threats has not solved any problem, but has made things that are straightforward to be worse. They have said they have released 200 million for all the public health workers. Well, Ministry of Health alone, it has about 1.2 billion in terms of debts for salary arrears, settling allowances, and other allowances. Then they go on and say, look, Ministry of Health, we are giving you 15 million to spare the 1.2 billion debt that you owe all the health workers. What is that? What is that percentage? That's now a percentage of 0.00001%. So that's something very much unacceptable, and something that we all need to stand out and speak out so that people can know what is happening. Because if we fail to speak out.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I want to go back to Dr. Sampa. I wanted to ask, and I think our viewers want to know, your members, how much are you owed? The amount which is causing all this problem, how much is it roughly, Dr. Sampa? And secondly, we are hearing comments from PF spokesperson Antonio Manza that you should be fired. This morning, we're hearing the ambassador in Ethiopia saying you should all be fired. We are hearing the police saying you should be fired. We are hearing the PS Minister of Information. What is your comment? First of all, Dr. Sampa, How much are you owed, all your doctors? And what's your comment about all these comments, including the spokesperson of PF? Dr. Sampa. Please unmute yourself, Dr. Sampa.
Okay, so sorry about that. Yeah, so we are owed more than 350 million kwacha in terms of personal emoluments and gratuities. That's the membership and in total. And the numbers of the doctors owed are in excess of more than 1,500 doctors from 2010 up to date. Now, about the threats of being fired, we've been talking about this for some time now. The membership understands that in an event where they have to sacrifice, they are ready to sacrifice their jobs to ensure that things are better. They are not looking at today, they are also thinking about the future of the profession. If this trend continues, no one will enjoy being a doctor in Zambia because they will continue suffering and they will be stagnant in one position. Then about the politicians talking about they need to fire doctors. I think sometimes it's just out of lack of understanding of what is really prevailing. But I wouldn't want to dwell much on that because politicians, being politicians, they can say anything and let them argue with their fellow politicians. Doctors are honorable people, and for them to reach this far, it's because things have just gone out of the way and they deserve to be respected for such.
No, we really appreciate that you're doing a good job, and we appreciate what all our doctors are going through. And you're owed 350 or 380 million for the 1,500 doctors. That's a lot of money. And our viewers, we have been giving you the background of how Zambia has lost doctors, well-trained doctors, starting from the first wave when President Sata, when he was Minister of Health, a lot of doctors left the country. They went to South Africa, they went to Namibia, they went to Botswana, and most of them ended up in the UK. We've got lots of Zambian doctors in the UK, in Canada, and in America. Same with the nurses. And when Professor Luo was Minister of Health, the same problem arose. And so we don't want to lose another phase of doctors. If the doctor-patient ratio is 1 to 12,000, we don't want to lose doctors. We want to get the other 500 employed so that we can reduce down the doctor-patient ratio to something reasonable. At least 1,500, 1,200, that's better than 12,000. So, Dr. Sampa, what are the next steps in the next few days, very crucial days, the next 1 week? If the government doesn't pay, what's going to happen, Dr. Sampa?
So if there will be no payment and there will be nothing about the employment and the positions, the membership have resolved already that they are going to escalate it from a go-slow into a full-blown strike. Because as it stands, the membership feels they are not being taken serious. They are being taken for jokes. As we speak, they keep on saying even the 15 million they have released has got nothing to do with the go-slow. In short, they are ignoring what is happening, which is okay, because the more they do that, they don't know that they're just making this more difficult, because the person ultimately who is going to suffer is not just the doctors alone. Even them, they are going to suffer out of this. So the resolution has already been passed by the membership that there will be escalation of the go-slow into a strike.
Well, I know that the first thing they will accuse you of is that you are violating your oath. They will accuse you to say you are now letting the Zambian people down. What would you say about that?
You know, we are not violating any oath. The oath is very clear. It says, as I uphold this oath, so should I also be respected by all men it also talks about having to enjoy life because of that oath. Now, if you as a doctor, you are not getting what you need and you get frustrated, because remember, the doctors are humans just like anybody. They've got families, they've got needs. So as long as they are not taken care of, they are not going to perform their duties nicely. They need to be well taken care of, so that even as they work, they are motivated. They are dealing with life. They don't need to be stressed and they don't need to be frustrated. So there is nothing like the oath being abrogated. No, we are within the oath, and we value it so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sampa. Before we go, I want to try and see whether Dr. Chikonde is in. Any chance of you coming in, Dr. Chikonde, if you're in? No? Dr. Chikonde, are you there? No, he's not there. Okay, I'll have Herbert. I'll have Herbert. You have heard from Dr. Sampa. What are your comments, Herbert? And first of all, can you tell our viewers where are you based, Herbert?
General, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jerome, Dr. Sampa, and Mr. Pande Brian. Herbert is based in Lusaka. I am Lusaka.
There's something wrong with your volume, Herbert. There's something wrong with your volume, and I'm not sure. Can you try and increase your volume, please?
Can you get me?
Yeah, try and increase your volume, please.
Can you get me now?
Yeah, try. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm based in Lusaka, General.
Yeah, well, I wanted our viewers to know that. Go ahead, Herbert.
All right, okay. Dr. Sampa, thank you so much for those insights that you have brought about. I'm just so saddened about what's going on in my country, because certainly this is not the Zambia that we want. General, if you conduct a survey among young people that are growing up today and you ask them the careers that they want to take up when they finish school, the answers that these young girls and boys are giving, they are quite shocking. Long gone are the days where children were aspiring to become doctors. You ask a child to say, what do you want to be when you finish school? They'll tell you, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. But we are living in a time zone where children are now aspiring to become a cadre after school. Like I was with young boys, I was asking them, what do you want to do when you're done with school? And the 5 of them told me that I want to be a cadre when I finish school. Then I was so shocked. I asked them to say, why are you saying that? Then they told me to say, cadres are the ones making the money. Now, look at what cadreism has done to this country. It has now gone to doctors. Doctors are not people to play with. Like in Zambia, we already have a few doctors. Like you can tell the ratio, which is 1 doctor to 12,000 patients, which is not okay. So we are advocating for the government to listen to the doctors. They should not take these doctors for granted. Let them listen to what the doctors want. If doctors want the 500 to be employed, let the government employ the 500. If the doctors want to be paid, let the government listen. What is so heartbreaking is the fact that they are saying they don't have money to pay the doctors, but we are seeing cadres fronting money. You know, like I saw a video 2 days ago on social media where someone was just throwing the money like that. So if they have the money to throw, why can't they have the money to pay the doctors? We don't like the situation in which they've put the country in. This is too much. This government has failed. Instead of it totally killing the country, let it listen to our doctors. We've got a lot of brothers and sisters that are battling with their lives in hospitals. We've got a lot of patients whose life support is in ICU and it's totally dependent on the supervision of the doctors. Now, what will happen if doctors strike? How many people are going to die in the hospitals? How many people are going to die in the clinics? All this blood is going to be on the head of the government because they are the ones that are responsible for seeing to it that these medical doctors are serviced well. So what Dr. Sampa is doing is what we, the Zambians, must be doing. Because majority of us in Zambia, we've realized that these people have taken the country to the ashes. But majority of the voices that are supposed to be speaking, they are quiet. So it is about the high time that we stood and we sided with what is right. So for those doctors that are still siding with the government, I blame you and I encourage you to support the noble cause that Dr. Sampa and the race are standing for. If the president is listening to this, you know what is going on. You know what you need to do. We ask you to do the right thing. Stop wasting time and do the right thing. Service the doctors. Our sisters are dying. Our brothers are dying. The hospitals have run out of supplies. Now you want the hospitals to run out of medical doctors? Mr. President, what are you really doing? Why are you still in State House if you can't service the country?
Okay,
You've
thank you
seen
so much.
what's going on. You've seen what's going on.
Thank you so much, Herbert.
You know,
Thank you so
it's
much.
not a duty of bringing the permanent secretary to dash out whatsoever was being spoken. This is a very serious situation that needs urgent solutions, and the government has that solution. Let them pay the doctors. If they have the money to be throwing during campaigns, they have the money to pay the doctors. So let the government pay the doctors.
Thank you. Thank you, Herbert. Thank you so much, Herbert. Our viewers, I think it's very, very annoying to hear that 14 million kwacha was paid to musicians, artists. I'm not degrading artists. We need them. But our priorities are upside down. To hear that the churches have been given money, God's church doesn't need money from government. God knows how to take care of his people. And to hear that chiefs are being bribed, and I know that Munsha doesn't want me to say these things because at times it really drives me mad. We know that the chiefs are being bribed. Right away, we hear that journalists like Bungwe Navile is traveling, and with other journalists, he has been withdrawn from India to come and campaign and give money to chiefs. But they can't pay our doctors. They can't pay our doctors. They are able to give cadres money. I'm sorry that our priorities as a government, Herbert, you are right. State House is watching us. I'm a former security person myself. I know OP is watching us. Mr. President, your priorities are upside down. We need our doctors paid because you've got the money to campaign. You've got the money to pay cadres. You've got the money to pay churches. You've got the money to pay chiefs. I think it's high time you really, really prioritized the importance of the health of the nation. And without our doctors, we are heading for trouble. I want to bring in Dr. Sampa again for your comments so far before we close. Dr. Sampa. Can you unmute yourself, Dr. Sampa? Okay. If Dr. Sampa is not able to unmute himself, Jeremy, what's your thoughts so far?
Okay, you see, the development which is happening is very sad. And for me, my appeal is for the government to listen to what the doctors are crying for. And moreover, what is also needed to do is let the Ministry of Health sort out this problem. The permanent secretary for technical services is a medical doctor. He knows how to sort out this problem. than any other permanent secretary. The other permanent secretaries who are talking too much without knowing what they are trying to say, just embarrassing the government. What they need to do, let the Ministry of Health, the permanent secretary for Ministry of Health, sort out this problem, as he knows very well how to sort out this problem, because all these guys who are also on a go-slow are his colleagues, his juniors, so they can negotiate and agree in the on the terms on how things can be done. Unlike allowing people like Ichiwadi and the other guys moving or up and down from this radio station to this. Today, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard him in about 5 radio stations ranting whatever things he doesn't understand, which is very much unfortunate. But for a person of a caliber of a permanent secretary, for him to understand simple and logical and straightforward matter in the way is misrepresenting everything. So my appeal is, let the Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary, Dr. Marama, sort out the problem with the medical doctors. They can sit on a round table and discuss, and this go-slow will not go anywhere, but it will be resolved and be called off. But if we allow excited permanent secretaries to be moving from one radio station to another, then we are going to have a lot of problem. And I can assure you the casualties whom we are going to have are the patients who are already passing through a lot of stress, which have been put in because of some poor health services that are provided for in this country.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. I'm seeing is it Mamba Junior? Mamba Junior, can you unmute yourself? Meanwhile, let's have Mwansa standby. So let's go for Mamba. Mamba Junior, just unmute yourself and tell us where you are, where you're watching us from.
Good evening, General, and good evening, Jerome and Herbert.
And we've got Dr. Sampa as well. He's still with us here.
Yes, I can see Dr. Sampa, a very courageous and brave young man. You know, the current situation is not something that we need to be proud about and happy as a nation. There's a common saying that you cannot cure diarrhea by stitching the anus. And what is happening now, whatever they are trying to do, is pure misplacement of priorities. It's like somebody's trying kutunga chigamba na nyura yo boka. There's nothing that will do by so doing. Let us not politicize this issue of doctors. And my greatest disappointment, it is for other civil servants that are thinking that doctors are selfish by demanding for their needs. Today, it is medical doctors, the resident doctors, that are being affected. We don't know who will be affected tomorrow. And if we cannot unite when somebody's benefits, somebody what has worked for, they are just demanding what belongs to them, then we feel they are being selfish. We are not helping each other. Yeah. It is about time we show the politicians that we are the bosses as the voters. And the current level of arrogance that is being exhibited shows lack of respect for the people that give them the mandate to rule. And to the permanent secretaries that are moving from one radio station to the other, it's a disappointment to see a person who's supposed to be a top civil servant masquerading as a political cadre. These resident doctors are young professionals who will hold the healthy sector in Zambia for many years to come. Why should we allow people that have lived their lives to curtail the future of young doctors like Dr. Sampa? I think it's about time we cleaned up the mess in the country, and the time is now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mwimba. Thank you so much. I think we have done 1 hour and 22 minutes. I will be brief and probably give only 30 seconds to the following people. Mpande, you've been standing by for a long time. And so we go for Mpande, then we go for, there's another lady. I know, Rose, you're waiting there. Just wait on for a minute. There is another lady. I would rather bring in a new lady. So let's go, Mpande. 30 seconds.
I'm just announcing that I'm back. I'm back. Thank you. Thank you for putting the fourth general. That's why you are a general.
Welcome back, Musha. Mpande, 30 seconds. If you don't unmute yourself, I'll move on very, very quickly. No? Okay. I'll go to Elliot. Elliot, you've been waiting for a long, long time. Go ahead, please. And tell us where you're watching us from, or where you're calling us from. No? Musha, people are not able to unmute themselves tonight.
All right. No, they should be.
Yeah, I know.
So let's go to Sister Rose.
You're on standby. That's good. But there was another lady who was there, because I want to give.
I think she has fallen out. She has fallen out. Yeah.
Fine. If she has fallen out, we go to Rose. Over to you, Rose. What's your view, my sister from the US?
Yeah, thank you so much, and good evening to everybody. And we've heard what the doctor have said, which is really, really sad and shame to the president, because you have to pay the doctors. Even himself, when he gets sick, he run to the doctors. And look what is happening in Zambia. I'm gonna say a parable in Bemba. Ichibamba chitela ati infula pakuya epo yonefisabo. Because Mr. Lungu, this is the time to go. So he just want to make a mess. So that he just want to make a mess. Chive, he doesn't care. He doesn't even know what is happening in the country. For him, it's just to impress Abantu and the cadres. Look at the musician. Look at the cadres, the money they are dashing. That money, they are supposed to use it to the doctors so that they can continue with their work. Like the way Council Elisha have said, they have bought the chiefs. I'm not going to mention any chief because I don't want my family to be in trouble. They have bought them. Wherever you go to the chief, you have to take tons of money to them. On top of that, the president is dashing that money. That money, they're supposed to use it to the doctors and the nurses. Like the way they said, tomorrow it can be you. But for him, he doesn't even understand. Look at Dr. Sampa. He's a young doctor. They're supposed to pay them. They have family. They need everything, you know. It's a shame whereby the doctor, they put them down. Who want to be the doctor? Because they're gonna say, well, I don't want to be just working for free. That's the only way I can say to them.
Thank you so much, Rose. It's a shame. Yesterday we were staying with Musha. When these guys are sick, no mukoshi, baya South Africa.
Jobek.
So, but you know, they can't maintain our own hospitals. And I am sorry to say that it's a shame that our children think that to be a cadre pays better than being a doctor. It's shameful because they're seeing what is happening. And I think the president is watching. It's very shameful that we can end up losing lives. We can end up losing more doctors because somebody is irresponsible. And Munsha, I know you've been listening. Can I give in Sylvan Mwansa the chance, and then we go to Munsha? No, we go to we go to Sylvan, we go to Dr. Sampa, and Munsha will summarize. Sylvan Mwansa, please.
I think Sylvan was just speaking.
Was speaking. That's the Mwansa.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Dr. Sampa. What's your final take now? We know the figures. We know it's 300 and something million. We know that people have resolved that if nothing happens, there's going to be a serious strike. You have heard what Zambians are saying. These are not Zambians in the diaspora. Some of these Zambians are at home. And what is your final word, Dr. Sampa? Can you unmute yourself, Dr. Sampa?
No, I think he's gone. No.
I think it's gone. Okay. Yeah. So it's over to you, Munsha. We have heard here that the government is lying. They have not paid the doctors. They're still owed 380 million. We are hearing that the doctors have already resolved that if they're not paid, they'll strike.
Yeah.
And we've also been told that doctors are struggling. Some of them have had COVID, effects of COVID, and they're struggling.
Oh, no.
So it's over to you, Munsha, to summarize for today.
Today, we brought Dr. Sampa because we want the people of Zambia to get it right from, as they call it, the horse's mouth. I'm not saying that Sampa is a horse. What I'm saying is that we got it right from Dr. Sampa himself. And he has told us exactly, what has happened here. These are not doctors that are being unreasonable. These are doctors that are asking for what is reasonably theirs. We are appealing to President Lungu Ukuvere Kuluapula. He needs to come back to Lusaka and go to the Bank of Zambia and lock all the money that he has locked up, Katuishuko Shirimpia, and pay the doctors their dues. We don't want to hear anything like that. You are threatening these doctors. Do not threaten these doctors. It will not be very nice. That what you are continuing to threaten the doctors. We are not going to be happy with you. Stop the threats. Just do the right thing. Pay the doctors so that they continue taking risks. And it's not just the doctors. It's the nurses. It's the lab technicians. It's, I know, but Kanika will be very happy if I mention pharmacists and pharmacist technicians. It's everyone. So we want the government to do the right thing. If this government doesn't do the right thing, General Chipakupaku was a solution. Vote the Patriotic Front out so that Againde Hichirema, Bese Pampando, Bateke, Tumonena Benefe Bagatuchitira. If Hagainde Hichilema does not perform very well, now we ne tukamufumia. Ero mabaka bike po bachiwe mpala.
Munsha, I'm appealing to the Zambians. What we have seen with this government is that they're arrogant. They are forgetting that you are the bosses. The Zambians are the bosses. As we said yesterday, the MPs, they've already got their fat checks. They've already got their fat checks for their gratuity, but our doctors are struggling.
Right.
So you, the Zambian voters, you are the bosses.
Right.
And for me, it's not a matter of saying what is the question. It's a matter of on the 12th, get rid of this government, the arrogant, so that we can have a responsible government. And if Mr. HH and his government becomes arrogant as well, get rid of them. He won't be arrogant. So that's what I can say, Munsha. I also want to thank everybody who's come on today, Sampa, Dr. Sampa, and I'm sorry that Dr. Chikonde couldn't come in. Jeremy, as usual, Herbert and Rose, and prepare for tomorrow. We know we were coming late. Munsha has been very, very busy. You know, we are doing these things during work. So we apologize to our viewers, they were all on my phone. Everybody was on my phone. Prepare for a very interesting.
Everybody, General, you are exaggerating. Everybody,
no,
please.
It's true. It was from Zambia. That's why I was getting all the messages coming from. I can even tell you the towns. So, so tomorrow we have Dr. Musoko Twane, who's going to tell us about the debt. What is the problem with the debt? How much do we owe? And how is UPND planning? We're saying UPND because it has failed to handle the debt. Our viewers, the Zambian government failed to pay its interest on Euro bonds and on the Chinese loans. So they failed. So let's hear what UPND is planning to do tomorrow. Over to you to close and probably keep everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good evening, Zambia, and good evening, Chwempala. We are now going to go into the private session. Please stay on if you are there. Let's chat a little bit. Thank you very much for joining us. God bless you, and God bless our country, and we'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to send stars to TV Bakwetu because TV Bakwetu survives on those stars. Thank you very much. God bless you.